10 foreign nationals caught in Ngurah immigration's JAGRATARA operation. Bali becomes a prostitution market for various parts of the world. Wow. And still driven by tourism sector, BI projects Bali's economic growth in the next 10 years. Stay tuned for details on these and other stories. Selamat pagi. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. This is October 17th, 2024, and my name is Bruce. We have a lot of stuff today. Yesterday at the end of the video, I talked about what we're going to talk about today. And so let's get started with the immigration raids from the JAGRATARA operation. 10 foreign nationals caught in Ngurah immigration's JAGRATARA operation. Bali becomes a prostitution market for various parts of the world. This is the rate for one date. The island of the gods, Bali, one of Indonesia's legendary icons, is a tourist destination targeted and hunted by many foreign tourists from various parts of the world. Unfortunately, there are individuals who commit reprehensible acts in a foreign country. Amidst the large number of foreign tourists stopping by on the island of Bali, a number of unpleasant and detrimental incidents have occurred in Indonesia, especially for local residents in Bali. One of them is the embarrassing behavior of some foreigners, as if they forgot how to behave in a foreign country by doing strange actions. In addition to drugs, it's been proven that Bali is used as a prostitution market for 7 women from various parts of the world. This fact was revealed after Class 1 Special Immigration Office at Ngurah again held a foreign surveillance operation with the code JAGRATARA. This was Monday through Wednesday of last week. In this operation, controlled by the Director General of Immigration, which is the third operation this year, and it lasted 3 days, held simultaneously throughout Indonesia, the team focused on conducting surveillance patrols in the Kuta area. Yes, we have arrested 10 foreigners suspected of committing immigration violations, according to the head of Ngurah Immigration Office. He explained that 3 of them, a German woman, a Russian man, and a New Zealand woman, were caught overstaying for more than 60 days, a usual violation of immigration laws. Regarding the articles imposed, the 3 people who overstayed were charged with Article 75, Paragraph 3. Then, 7 women from various parts of the world were found to have misused their resident permits, namely alleged prostitution activities. The 7 women are from Uganda, Russia, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Belarus. The 7 people who committed violations of resident permit abuse were charged under Article 75, Paragraph 1 of Law Number 6 of 2011 concerning immigration. The 3 people who overstayed were arrested at different lodgings. Meanwhile, for the prostitution case, 2 people were secured in a boarding house, and 5 others were taken from a villa. 3 people out of these 10 have already been deported, and others are in the Denpasar Immigration Detention Center or are being held at the Ngurah Immigration Office. According to a spokesperson, we will continue to carry out this operation routinely to prevent immigration violations and other illegal activities involving foreign nationals. According to the spokesperson, the method used by the 7 women to find customers online was set at an average price of $300 or equivalent to 6.5 million rupiahs per date. Well, $300 does not equal 6.5 million rupiahs. At this rate right now, it's more like 4.5 million rupiahs, but pretty expensive for a hooker. $300 for one date? In this case, of course, the basis is that deportation action is given. It's possible that in cases with other criminal elements, the immigration team will coordinate with the police. Such cases of forgery of ID cards, drug cases, and other cases, cooperation with law enforcement continues to be well established, he concluded. So, Bali has people bringing in drugs, and we've got hookers coming in now. The island of the gods, paradise. And of course, prostitution activities have been going on here for, well, probably as long as the island has existed. But foreign hookers, I don't remember that being a problem a long time ago when I got here 35 years ago. But foreign prostitutes have been in the news a lot recently. Okay, let's go on to some economic news about Bali. Still driven by tourism sector, BI projects Bali's economic growth in the next 10 years. In the last 10 years, Bali's economic growth has been impressive. Apart from having to face the COVID-19 pandemic, if we look at the average in the last 10 years, there's been an economic growth rate of 3.82%. Pretty good considering how bad Bali got hit by the pandemic. This was stated by the head of Bank Indonesia Representative Office for Bali, Pak Irwin. During COVID-19, our economy, which usually grows 5 to 6%, was 9% down, was 9% negative. Yesterday in the second quarter, the economy grew by 5.36%. The main sector was still in tourism. Meanwhile, Pak Irwin explained that when talking about tourism, it's closely related to the business sector in food and beverage and accommodations. Then there's transportation and warehousing, as well as the trade sector. All sectors are involved in the tourism industry. Then, if we compare it in the last 10 years, maybe I see the highest growth in the last 10 years in 2014. That was the high point. The economic growth was above 6%, as well as national growth at that point. Currently, data in August 2024 shows that credit growth in Bali is good. Cut that out. In essence, Pak Irwin said, if we look at the last 10 years, Bali's economic growth has now recovered to 5.36%. The economic sector in Bali that is moving is the tourism sector, which contributes the most to Bali's growth. The tourism sector contributes almost 45% to the growth rate in Bali. And here are these numbers again. We got 45%, and some people say 90% and 80%. Bank of Indonesia is saying at this point 45%. So you have to take these numbers, well, with a grain of salt, because I don't know, it was just recently, I think the governor said maybe 2 months ago it was 51%, so 45% to 51%, but definitely not 80 to 90% like some tourists like to say, especially when they're upset. It's like, well, if it wasn't for us, we'd leave and Bali's economy would collapse completely. Wouldn't collapse completely, but as we saw in the pandemic period, it would definitely be a big hit for everybody on the island. Bali needs to have a more broad economy. In this way, the tourism sector in Bali is maintained, and on the other hand, the agricultural sector is also strengthened. Why the agricultural sector? Because Bali's characteristics are adequate for the agricultural sector, fisheries sector, and livestock. In addition to diversifying the economy, it's important to continue to drive investment, where these investments will later finance sectors that we really want to develop. With the development of the agricultural sector and the tourism sector, as well as investment coming to Bali, this will certainly open up wider employment opportunities, he said. I think after the COVID-19 pandemic, economic growth in Bali has been quite fast, along with the opening of the tourism sector, so that the mobility of the population has returned to how it was before. At that time, we could enjoy direct growth that had reached 5%, and that was very fast, he said. According to Angkasa Pura data, international passengers coming to Bali in 2024 from January to September was up to 5.21 million. This figure is close to the overall international passenger data for 2019, which was 6.8 million. He said, so I think by opening access with the opening of flight routes, even though we haven't reopened everything yet, so far we've got about 80%, and this will encourage an increase in foreign tourists, which, as I said, we've got too many foreign tourists right now. Need to fix the infrastructure first before we keep bringing in people and getting a bad reputation. I don't know why this isn't looked at in the long term, like chill, fix the roads, get rid of the trash, take care of some of the criminal elements that have been going on here recently. And then if you're going to bring in more tourism, well, you're going to bring in more tourism. That's what the government wants to do. Apparently, Bali is going to be, as I saw some people on social media talking about foreigners, party island. And he also mentioned the need to take care of domestic tourists coming to Bali, because that is an even bigger market than internationally. Meanwhile, regarding the impact of tourism policies on economic growth in Bali, he said it's been very positive. This can be seen from the Bali Economic Transformation Policy, where there are 6 priorities, including agricultural sector, marine and fisheries sector, Bali branding industry sector, SME and MSME sector, the creative and digital economy sector, and the tourism sector. Bank Indonesia continues to encourage MSMEs through three approaches. First, develop the capacity of MSMEs, provide assistance and counseling to them, and increase the capacity of MSMEs to enter the digital world, often referred to as onboarding. Secondly, Bank Indonesia also encourages the corporatization of MSMEs. This corporatization is more towards how MSMEs can have wider market access by encouraging them to be able to certify their products with halal certification, permits like that. The third is financing for MSMEs. BI, Bank Indonesia, does not provide financing for MSMEs, but BI does business matching between MSMEs and banks. BI strengthens the financial literacy of MSMEs so that MSMEs can have better financial records and so that they are more bankable. Pak Irwin explained that the five biggest creative economic activities that have boosted tourism in Bali: crafts, culinary, photography, fashion, and performing arts. According to him, that is the strength of the creative economy in Bali. Meanwhile, Pak Irwin does not want Bali to be strong only in tourism, but also strong in trade and investment. So we are indeed pushing investment projects in Bali as long as they are clean and clear. We are going to echo them. We are inviting investors, including us, bringing together investors with projects in Bali with foreign investors, because we're also utilizing the network of Bank Indonesia offices abroad. And what are foreign investors doing? Well, I don't know. One of the things they're doing are building these big complexes of rooms and villas and hotels that really aren't needed right now in Bali. And what happens in the future when the mass of tourism shifts to another part of Southeast Asia, which is cheaper or cleaner or just more trendy. If you've been around this island, you'll see a number of massive hotel projects that were abandoned and just sit there like, I don't know, ghost hotels, I guess. Okay, but overall, economy is looking good for Bali over the next 10 years, growth rate somewhere around 5 to 6%. And hopefully that will translate into more and better jobs for local people. And what about the weather? Because the weather in Buleleng has been hot. Weather in Bali, end of October 2024, enters the rainy season. Buleleng Regency still experiences dry season. So the rest of Bali is going to be wet and Buleleng is going to be dry. The weather in Bali has felt hotter than usual for the past few days. Well, certainly up here. Referring to the annual cycle, in October it's the rainy season. But on the other hand, it is still the dry season and the temperature feels hotter, sultry. The weather has been hot and sultry for the past few days in Bali due to the apparent position of the sun, according to the forecaster of the Meteorology, Climatology, and Geophysics Center, BBMKG, in Denpasar. He said that the position of the sun is near the equator, making the air temperature relatively hotter during the day. In addition, cloud cover in Bali region tends to be minimal so that the sun's heat is directly received by the surface. When asked about predictions about when the Bali province will enter the rainy season, he said it would happen at the end of this month. Then, in general, some areas of Bali are predicted to enter the start of the rainy season at the end of October and early November. However, it's different for the Buleleng region, which is currently experiencing an extreme dry season and will only enter the rainy season at the beginning of December. In general, the Buleleng Regency is currently still entering the dry season, except for the southern part of Buleleng, which has started to rain as happened a few days ago. Meanwhile, most other areas of Buleleng are predicted to enter the start of the rainy season over the first 10 days of December, he said. BBMKG has appealed to the population to use sunscreen and consume sufficient water. He said, "We urge the public to use sunscreen or personal protective equipment when doing outdoor activities in weather that's hotter than usual and consume sufficient mineral water. The public should also anticipate changes in the weather and must remain alert to potential for rain that may be accompanied by lightning or strong winds during the changing of these seasons." And what is happening with tourism in the Denpasar area? Note, Denpasar Tourism Office budgets 10 billion rupiahs to support various events. The Denpasar city government, through the Tourism Office, DISPAR, disperses funds of around 10 billion rupiah every year. This fund is specifically intended to provide support for several major festivals that take place in Denpasar. From the total of all events, we budget almost 10 billion rupiahs. We've done many creative events, he said. In addition to events held by the Tourism Office itself, this budget is also allocated to provide support for events held by other parties. One of the events supported by the Denpasar City Tourism Office is the Sanur Village Festival, SVF, and that's going to start Wednesday, today, and it's going to go on until the 20th. Oh, okay, didn't know about that. In this event, the Tourism Office provides support related to sound and stage rentals worth more than 100 million rupiah. The value of this support will increase next year. This event will be able to boost visits by local and foreign tourists. Moreover, the Sanur Festival has been going on for 17 years. Every event definitely attracts tourists, both foreign and local. Moreover, it's an annual event and people are definitely waiting for it. In addition, hotel occupancy is also expected to increase thanks to the festival. Likewise, the economic turnover around the event location, namely Murdasari Beach in Sanur, is expected to be vibrant. He said, "We always support. Next year we also budget, and next year there will be an increase in the budget for SFV support." The chairman of Sanur Development Foundation said that the location of the event was moved to Pantai Murdasari because Matahari Terbit Beach area, which had been the location for the event for several years, has a number of obstacles. One of them is fairly severe traffic jams in the area. No kidding. Moving to Murdasari because of traffic at Matahari Rindu is very unsupportive due to large number of visitors. From this event, the organizers are targeting a total transaction of 15 billion rupiah. It's also hoped that the event can support the economic cycle around the Sanur and Denpasar areas in general. So you've got the Sanur Festival going on. That sounds like people will have a good time with Icon Bali, right? The big mall and the hospital. A lot of stuff going on there. I don't think Sanur is the quiet little village that it used to be many years ago. Well, not even that long ago. And what about the forest fires up in Mount Agung? I saw some videos of them. Boom, pretty intense. Mount Agung forest fire spreads to 100 hectares. Extinguishing constrained. Forest fires on the slope of Mount Agung in Karangasem have spread to 100 hectares. Officers have not been able to extinguish it due to the difficult terrain. The head of the Karangasem BPBD, the Regional Disaster Management Agency, said that 6 hot spots were detected in the forest on the slopes at around an altitude of 2,000 meters above sea level. Based on the results of our monitoring, he said the area of forest that has burned on the slopes of Mount Agung is about 100 hectares. The burned forest includes pine trees, spruce, and also shrubs. However, the extinguishing cannot be done because of the location of the fire is way up there. Weather conditions at the location are also very hot, which increases the risk. Currently, joint officers are still monitoring the development of the fire from above. If possible, they will immediately extinguish it. The fires have been reported going on since Sunday the 13th, so about 3 days ago. The distance is about 4 to 5 kilometers from residential areas. Sparks were thought to have appeared due to friction between dry twigs triggered by strong winds on the mountain. And there have been a number of stories about this, and in one that I saw just this morning, said they're going to use helicopters to try to extinguish the fires. And so good luck with that. And the mountain is closed for climbing right now. And so that is it for today. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Take care. And I will see you